The family of Virginia Giuffre, who became the most prominent victim of Jeffrey Epstein, has told the BBC that Lord Mandelson should never have been given the position of UK ambassador to the United States. In an exclusive interview with Sunday's Laura Kuenssberg, there is no question that Lord Mandelson ever met Miss Giuffre or that he sought or was given introductions to women by Epstein. Here is Sky Roberts, Virginia's brother, talking to Laura earlier.
I want to first and foremost commend the UK for taking action following that. I think, that's a step in the right direction, but to me, it's not nearly enough.
But that initial decision made by the government to put him in place when people knew about their friendship, what do you think of that?
I think, why does it take us to have to pull out the skeletons, for people to be held accountable? Our governments have allowed these people to hold their status and their title, without shame. And so part of me is we should have done something sooner. He should have never been given that title. And there are a lot of people that are actively out in our governments, in politics, in our financial systems, that are actively holding their titles and positions. And we have to put the spotlight on them.
Sky, do you think he should have been given the job in the first place?
So absolutely not. He should not have been given the position in the first place. It speaks to how deep the corruption is in our systems, whether that's linked to the UK or the United States or abroad from there.
We should say that Lord Mandelson has always said that he didn't know anything about the abuse that was going on. He has also said in recent years that he regretted their friendship very much.
I think anybody that's in that book, including President Trump, should be completely and 100% investigated, and if it is found, then should be held to the fullest extent of the law. That's what this is about.
Well, despite Lord Mandelson's sacking on Thursday, pressure continues to mount on the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. Both the government and the opposition parties have been talking about this on Sunday with Laura Kuenssberg. With the details, here's our political correspondent, Georgia Roberts.
This affair continuing to haunt Downing Street, and since Peter Mandelson's sacking, lots of focus has, of course, been on what you just outlined, the new emails that came to light between him and Jeffrey Epstein that Downing Street showed new depth to their relationship and ultimately sparked his sacking. But we heard from Laura Kuenssberg's programme this morning a slightly different side to this, an element to this, bringing the issue back to the crux of this, which is the Prime Minister's judgment in appointing Sir Peter Mandelson to the role in the first place. Now, we should say there is no suggestion that Lord Mandelson ever met Virginia Giuffre or was introduced to any women by Jeffrey Epstein, but we did hear from Virginia Giuffre's family on Laura Kuenssberg this morning saying that he should not have been appointed to the role. Again, no suggestion that Lord Mandelson ever met Virginia Giuffre or was introduced to any women by Jeffrey Epstein. But that criticism around the Number 10 operation and Keir Starmer's judgment in appointing Peter Mandelson has really been swelling, especially amongst his own rank, his own Labour MPs. And Laura Kuenssberg also spoke this morning to Peter Kyle, the business secretary, who was asked if it was a mistake to appoint Peter Mandelson to this position. Now, earlier he'd said on Sky News that the risks of appointing Peter Mandelson, given his association with Jeffrey Epstein, was a matter of public record, outweighed the benefits. They say he's a man of very big talents and really benefited the UK-US relationship at a perilous time. But let's listen to him being asked by Laura Kuenssberg whether that appointment was a mistake.
It is extremely distressing to hear it. The victims must come first in all of these situations, and I'm pleased that you have brought the voice of victims into this for what Epstein did. To your question, at the point at which Peter Mandelson was appointed and the run-up to his appointment, global politics have been turned upside down. The relationship between Britain and America was in a perilous state because of the threat of tariffs, what was happening economically, trying to repurpose and rethink the special relationship. Britain needed somebody with outstanding singular talents, experience which was very hard to come by. And yes, a lot was known about Peter Mandelson's relationship with Epstein. He had apologised for it, and these two things were weighed up. There was an independent appointments inquiry that was done by the Cabinet Office There was a political process run by Number 10, and on balance, based on what was known publicly, based on what we knew and you knew as journalists, the decision was taken to appoint him. And then I have to say that in that period, we have navigated the most difficult period in US-UK relationship since the Second World War, and we have delivered for people in Britain, time after time after time.
Now, he also said later that in retrospect, given what Downing Street and the Prime Minister know now, it's highly unlikely that Peter Mandelson would have been appointed to that ambassador position. He also defended the Prime Minister's judgment. He said he acted decisively when Keir Starmer was shown the full cachet and nature of the emails between Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein that exposed more of a depth, they say, of that relationship. Now, the Conservatives, however, still asking questions about this, particularly around the vetting process and what exactly was known, the questions asked in Downing Street by the Prime Minister. Kemi Badenoch also accusing the Prime Minister this weekend of lying about what he knew and when. Now, Downing Street maintained that Keir Starmer, when he stood up to defend Peter Mandelson in the Commons, he was not aware of the nature, the contents of the emails when he defended him, and only saw those later on this evening. But the Conservatives seeking to keep the pressure up here. So let's listen to the Shadow Education Secretary, Laura Trott, saying that they will be seeking more answers soon.
But there are really grave questions about the Prime Minister's judgment this week. This is the man who stood on the steps of Downing Street and said he was going to restore political integrity. And look where we are. In the space of 2 weeks, we've had 2 senior resignations. We had the outrageous situation this week where the Prime Minister and the Labour Party were defending appointing the best pal of a convicted paedophile to be ambassador to the US. And Keir Starmer is saying that when he stood up on Wednesday, he didn't know about the ongoing relationship. As you've already discussed on the panel, there were allegations that were out on Tuesday that were put to the Foreign Office. Peter Mandelson himself said on Tuesday that there was more to come. On what planet did the Prime Minister not ask what more there is and seek assurances? And yet, I don't buy it, and Kemi's not either.
And yet it has been widely reported here at the BBC and by many other outlets that in Downing Street, Keir Starmer did not see the full extent of the emails until Wednesday night. Now, do you know for a fact that that is not true? Because it's very different to say, as the opposition party, we've got questions about what Keir Starmer said. It's very different to say that than actually just say, no, he's lying.
We know that Bloomberg put these allegations to the Foreign Office on Tuesday. I've been in Number 10. There is no way that is not then reported into Number 10.
But do you know that for a fact?
Well, this is why we need transparency, and this is what we're going to be pushing for next week, Laura. And if you're a Labour MP watching this now, you should be pushing for it too, because we will use every mechanism that is available to us to force the truth to come out.
So certainly the difficulties around this for Downing Street not going away, and the Conservatives saying they intend to make that noise next week. Of course, going into the state visit with President Trump, the short-term task for Downing Street is to try and grapple with that, try and ensure that it doesn't cast too big a shadow over that state visit, especially given, of course, President Trump is facing his own questions about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.